Welcome home. We are WNST. Taos, Baltimore, AM 1570. Hoping you set a spot out on your radio dial, if not in your social media hearts. It is our birthday week. Luke's birthday this week, my birthday this week. We're gathering on Friday for the most delicious pizza anywhere in Baltimore. We're going to be in Essex at Pizza John's, giving out Maryland Lottery scratch-offs from the Ravens scratch-off variety. Pretty lucky batch over at Costas, and week before that down at Faidley's. We had a beautiful week of possibilities for baseball. Didn't go so good. Then the football thing happened over the weekend. Didn't go so well. Down 10 points in the fourth quarter, and lo and behold, somehow the magician, LaMarvelous, Lamar Jackson, who's not just LaMarvelous here, he's even LaMarvelous throughout the league. Solomon Wilcots knows this firsthand. He's out in Cincinnati, Ohio, and brags of all things Bengals whenever he can. But also you can find him out at SiriusXM hosting his nightly radio show as well as the Believe podcast for all things Bengals. Solly, I'll tell you what, man, we're feeling okay here. 3-2, Jaden Daniels, Baltimore, Washington, licking our wounds from the baseball problems that we had here. And by the way, congratulations on Tito Francona out there. But 10-point lead, blown at home twice, kicker, spin ball, sit on the ball, try to kick a 56-yard field goal. Tough times in Cincinnati at 1-4 this week, huh?
Yeah, listen, I think Joe Burrow's a realist. I think he's one of the bright, shining stars in this game, along with Lamar, right? Lamar, I've always said, is must-see TV. We watched him only about an hour here from Cincinnati, just south of us, is Louisville, Kentucky, where he played collegiately. And, we watched him all those years, just amaze people. That's why he won a Heisman as a freshman, right? And so he continues to do that. But Joe Burrow said going into that game on Sunday that he felt he was going to have to be perfect. And Marlon Humphrey knew it was right. And when he made that interception, that's when I think Joe Burrow looked and said, that was the mistake that I could not make. And it's unfortunate when you have a quarterback that good that believes he can't make a mistake because he can't get consistent help from his defense. He can't get consistent help from special teams. Can't even hold the ball on a field goal kick to help him win a game. And that's why we should not be putting win-loss records next to the name of quarterbacks.
Solomon Wilcots is here with his wisdom, as we always have here. What a great name, Solomon. I never liked my name. If my name were Solomon, I would think it's awesome and biblical. How many other Solomons? You don't meet other Solomons, do you? Not often, right?
No, I don't. No, not unless it's their last name, but no, haven't met anyone with the first name. I'm sure there are some others out there, of course.
Well, kings as well, as I might point out. So, Nestor was the Greek god of wisdom. I want to point that out to you. So we got, there's a lot of wisdom going on here. For you with coaching and for where end of the first half, and we see this again and again with Harbaugh. Like he's still got the red flag out, looking at the screen in the stadium, talking about we have a system and other coaches. And I had dinner with Marvin Lewis a couple weeks ago. He's supposed to be that guy in the ear for the Raiders head coach, sort of to be there to manage other things they're not thinking about with the wisdom that comes with all of that. John called just a ridiculous timeout that opened the door for the Bengals at the end of the first half. And then Zach Taylor sitting on the ball at the end saying a 56-yard field goal is just going to be fine because my kicker can handle that. I don't know, man. There were some coaching questions, and I'm not the coach killer here every Monday, Solly. I'm not at all. Ask around. But I'm scratching my head that this far in, with the amount of help they have around them, timeouts, game management, because they're thinking about plays. They're not thinking about – they can't think about everything in the middle of all that. I think it would be – computers would have a hard time modeling that.
Well, God, listen, I don't think you can take the feel of what's required. You need to have a certain feel and understanding of what's happening real time as a coach. You cannot use data analytics to measure momentum. And momentum is a real thing. You see that in baseball all the time. It's a real thing. Emotion is a part of the game. And that determines who has momentum. In other words, believability. If you're going to believe in probabilities, then you better believe in believability, because all of them are based on past experiences, right? Probabilities are based on this mathematical equation of what's happened in the past, right? But well, so
That
is
doesn't
our
mean we get you fourth down right now, right? Like literally.
and that's it. It's just, and that's what I think Zach Taylor, the Bengals coach, was like, look, I know the Ravens defense. They're going to make a play. They're good. We're good. But I also know my kicker, Evan McPherson. He can make this kick. So why am I trying to get more out of it? Why do I need to put the ball in harm's way to gain a few more yards? Maybe I break one open and hit another one, but I feel just as comfortable that I can make the kick. And guess what? He didn't think it through. Can my holder hold it? Well, what would you guess? No, he's been holding it right the entire game. Every single kick and every single extra point, he's held it. There's no reason to believe that he can't take the snap and then get the ball placed down in time for Evan McPherson to kick it. There's nothing in data analytics or in anything else that would have suggested that he was not going to be able to handle the snap. This is what makes humans humans. And you're not going to find that in a spreadsheet. So, look, games are won and lost on these things because that's why we watch. That's why we don't walk away, right? Because we expect the improbable, sometimes the impossible happens, and it does determine the outcome of games.
Yeah, they're only human until Lamar fumbles the ball, runs out of center, gets chased down by Hubbard, pushes him off. The amazing part, look, you tackle people for a living for a while. Getting him to the ground. We talk about King Henry and him with the load, and linebacker safeties can tackle Henry. It doesn't look like Fast Times at Ridgemont High that he's just crushing everybody the way he slapped the Bills guy in that film. Lamar, I've watched this 6 years. It's hard to get an angle on Lamar, and if you do and you're bigger and faster and stronger, somehow it always looks like the guy in the defensive side, even when it's a safety or a corner, looks like they're in quicksand. It's the craziest thing, and I think he's a little in their heads that guys are a little slower getting to him because they don't want to go straight at him because he ain't going to be there when he gets there.
This is coaching. I really do believe, and we used to have these conversations about how to rush Michael Vick, right? I think you can say that Michael Vick and Lamar are very similar in how slippery they are and how difficult they are to get a sack on. And there were many times in the game on Sunday where I thought the Bengals had them, but you could tell a guy sometimes a pass rusher will get greedy. Oh, I got him. Like, you don't. No, you don't.
Well, you can't grab him from the back anymore. And he's running away from you. Let's start with that, right?
He's a human being. You got to tackle him where you wrap people up is you wrap up their legs. You don't try to grab them high because you'd be surprised how slippery jerseys are, especially when you're sweating. You'd be surprised because the jerseys are tight fitting. They're not this loose baggy. It's not like the shirt I'm wearing you grab. These jerseys are tight fitting for a reason. So when you grab something, you're grabbing something hard that's really tough to just grab cloth, if you know what I'm saying. You got to grab body part. You've got to be, and you cannot be a reacher as a tackler. You got to be a striker. You have to be a hitter. More importantly, when you rush a quarterback like Lamar, the same as with Michael Vick, you rush to entrap him, to ensnare him. He will run to you more than you're going to run to him. So if I'm rushing him, I know someone else is coming too. While he's trying to elude me, the other guy is going to get him. And while he's trying to elude the other guy, I'm going to get him. There were many times in the game on Sunday where they had him trapped. There were two guys. Both guys took the same angle, and he just made them run into each other, and he's slipping out of there. That's because they haven't really been talked to about how you rush to trap them. Don't necessarily rush to sack them. Because where Lamar really has struggled is to make those deep throws from deep in the well with hands and bodies in his face. Most quarterbacks struggle with that, by the way.
He finds, if he gets that second opportunity, somebody's
outside
open.
The pocket.
Somebody's
outside
open.
The pocket. Outside the pocket.
Sure.
Now, that's my point. You don't rush him to flush him out of the pocket. You don't rush to chase him out of the pocket. You rush to trap him in the pocket.
Use the sideline as another player.
No. You keep him deep in the well. You push up the edges and you push in his face. You don't let him climb the pocket and you don't let him escape outside. You're like,
That
hey man,
sounds easy, Solly. Why don't you
no,
come
no, no.
in? It's not
Listen,
that easy.
well, the it's not impossible. And that's how the Bengals, remember when the Bengals beat, I think in 2021, when they ran, what was the defense coordinator out of town? I forget, they ran him out of town. The Bengals shredded them. But that's how they beat Lamar when they have played well defensively. That's how you do it. Look, he's not the only mobile, slippery quarterback. So is Josh Allen, right? So there are some others too. And I remember Michael Vick is probably the best comparison. You've got you rush to trap them in the pocket. Most quarterbacks don't want to throw from deep in the well when the vision is cloudy. You can't get outside. Once I get outside and escape, now I can see clear down the field. Yeah, you're chasing me, but I'm rolling out. You may not understand this as well as I do, but that's where it's easier for these quarterbacks who want to throw on the run as opposed to have to throw from a cloudy look deep inside the pocket.
Solomon Wilcots giving us his wisdom from Cincinnati. You can find him out at SiriusXM Radio, as well as out on his own podcast, talking all things Bengals. Get off the Ravens for a minute. Let's talk about the Bengals at 1-4 and where they are and the reality of that. What happened to the Steelers late in the night on Sunday and the Browns for wherever. The Ravens have now gone from 0-2 to we're kind of going to lead the pack in the division. And the other part about it, Sally, is the Ravens have been really healthy. I know Marlon Humphrey had an issue after the game on Sunday night getting ready for this week, but they've been healthier than they've been. And you mentioned tackling, bad tackling in the league and stuff. Part of it is not practicing that, not having injuries happen on Wednesday out during practices and different things that the Ravens have had seasons fall apart with injuries. Knock on wood, early October, they're pretty healthy going into this. I looked at the Bengals side of this and say they're 1-4 right now. What is the upside for what's going on? And their quarterback saying we're just not good enough right now.
Well, their defensive line was decimated with injuries, particularly the interior part of the defensive line. They had given up 100 yards rushing coming into Sunday's game against the Ravens. They give up 100 yards again, but I thought they did a really good job against Derrick Henry for the most part until overtime. And then he broke it loose on that 51-yarder. But they did primarily a job where they forced the Ravens to play from behind on the scoreboard. Even though the Ravens scored the first touchdown of the game, they trailed at halftime. They forced the team to become a pass first, run second offense, which is what you want to do. And the Ravens, I thought if the Ravens would have stuck to doing some things like they did in the Bengals game, they'd have did that in the AFC Championship game. They'd have been playing in the Super Bowl. That means don't get away from the run game, regardless of what the score is, but allow Lamar to become a better passer of the football. As you could clearly see, he's improved in those areas. So we're seeing really improvement from the Baltimore Ravens offense. Defensively, I think there are some holes there, and that's where the Bengals, I think, really are looking at themselves. Their offense is right now scoring at a rate that's third best in the National Football League. They have scored on 54% of their offensive drives. You saw that in the game on Sunday. Defensively, they're having a tough time stopping people. And then when the special teams is struggling to hold a snap or to be consistent, Joe Burrow is thinking, man, I got to be perfect to win these games. Oh, by the way, he said that going into week 5 against the Baltimore Ravens. And unfortunately, he's right. When a quarterback has to make all of the plays to help win, it's not going to happen. That's what you don't want. I think a lot of people outside of the locker room think that quarterbacks can have a win-loss record, that they actually do win and lose games like a baseball pitcher. No, they don't. There's a reason why there's 53 guys who actually play, because anyone can impact the outcome of the game. Even if you are the holder on a field goal, even if you're the kicker on the field goal team, even if you are a defensive back who gets a pass interference call like they did week 2 against Kansas City. Joe Burrow had played well enough for them to have the win, the lead, and then one pass interference call puts Kansas City in a position to get the game-winning field goal. Their problems are very clear. It's no secret. The rest of the football team needs to get better, but offensively, they scare the daylights out of their opponents.
Amazing, arsenal of weapons on the
Yeah.
Cincinnati side. Meanwhile, the Ravens now things feel a little more fixed. We were worried a lot about the offensive line, and maybe this does speak to the fact that two-thirds of the Bengals secondary was decimated with injuries after the offensive line. But they got some oxygen for Wallace. I mean, Andrews hadn't been involved in the offense. Charlie Kohler. But more than that, Solly, I screamed for 3 years about Derrick Henry. When he was available and Dobbins was limping and the Gus bus was where it was, and they're trying to get Anthony Mitchell's kid, who was a speedster last year, to run around and be that part of their offense. Lamar always needed something that looked like Mark Ingram looked here when he was young. And the Derrick Henry thing, I put down the flag on Derrick Henry years ago. The fact that they brought him in 5 weeks into this thing, this looks to be something you do not want to be defending in January if it's still flying.
Two things, and I think you're right. These are the Ravens of the Jamal, when they had Jamal Lewis. Some of you guys probably haven't been Ravens fans long enough to remember Jamal Lewis, who, oh, by the way, still holds a single game rushing record for the franchise, right?
It was against the Browns, but then he went and played for him.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look,
295 is 295, right?
yeah, that's right. It's the NFL, man. Almost 300 yards rushing in the game. That's back in the day when they couldn't throw it. And when that was when 9 guys were in the box and he got 295. Not today, like 6 guys in the box and you go getting 295. Another thing, they put the quarterback under center. Lamar Jackson under center helps everybody. Those of us who really understand this game knows that, whoa, it helps Derrick Henry in the power run game. Oh, it helps the offensive line and the protection of the quarterback and play action pass. Oh, it helps wide receivers get another inch, another yard open at the top of their routes because defensive backs trying to figure, is it run, is it pass? On every single snap of the ball, the first job of every defender, you know what it is? He's got to decide, are they running it or are they throwing it? That's what putting the quarterback under center does for you. It helped with the subterfuge of the offense, forcing the defense to pause just a minute on the pass rush. No flying upfield, just a minute in coverage, right? Buys you a little more time in pass protection, a little more space when you're running your routes, and it helps the offense immensely. And that's what the Ravens got smart. Guess what? We're playing real football again, guys. That you're seeing more and more teams do this, putting the quarterback under center, and it's helping the offense to become more prolific.
I thought in the beginning when he came in, all of that sleight of hand was going to be dangerous, that the ball was going to hit the ground a whole lot because of that RPO and sort of the way it was. Also being in shotgun. And lo and behold, the thing that almost cost him the game was a perfect snap that hit him between the
In
infinity upside
shotgun.
down in
In
shotgun,
shotgun.
right? So
That's
you're
right.
asking the center and the quarterback to both to have a different kind of communication as opposed to being able to look up while you're under center and still get the ball where you don't have to look for the ball as well. So that really bit the Ravens and could have cost them the game on Sunday.
Well, look, these were the things that coaches argued against the shotgun when they first started moving in that direction. They were like, I don't like my quarterback taking his eyes off the coverage. I don't like my quarterback having to look it in and then try to find where guys are while they're moving around. When you're under center, you can continue to see, and the ball, it's more rote memory. That ball is going to hit your hands. It's up to the center to get him the ball when you're under center. So these things have been argued. They're tried and true. And yeah, it came back to haunt the Ravens. Almost cost them the game yesterday. I think Lamar would be kicking himself had the Bengals won and been able to make that field goal after he turned it over on that play.
He was kicking himself anyway afterwards because that's who the kid is. Solomon Wilcots is here. He has the wisdom that everybody needs to know. He played the game at a high level. You can find him out at SiriusXM as well as the Bengals Believe in their podcast network for the 1-4 Bengals, for the 3-2 Ravens going in this. The other thing I would say about the Ravens offensively and the offensive line and the problems that they had in the first couple of games, it does feel like the Ravens are sort of figured parts of it. Defensively, they still got a ways to go back in the secondary as well. But offensively, we're not asking questions about what this thing is. This thing's really blossoming a little bit more with Lamar 5-6 years into what John called the revolution.
Yeah, and look, I think what if you're an NFL fan, here's what you need to be comfortable with. Being uncomfortable. Okay? Because there are no super teams in the NFL anymore. Our league is designed to make it almost impossible to build a super team. You don't get to keep all of your talent because there's a salary cap. You do have to turn some of that talent loose to the free market where other teams get to pilfer from your defense or from your coaching staff, right? Or from your offensive line. Your players are now playing somewhere else. If you got to keep them, guess what? Now you might be looking at a super team. If you got to keep all those coaches, you'd be looking at a super team. Our system in this league is designed for some of that talent to go back out on the market. You cannot build a super team. Your team will have holes. That's why a team right now, as we look at it, has won 2 straight Super Bowls. And even before the injury to Rashee Rice, they're still complaining about the left tackle position. They're still complaining about needing more at the wide receiver position. They're still saying that Isaiah Pacheco's not back. What are we going to do about the running back position? They got rid of Tyreek Hill, had to turn him loose to the market, and then won back-to-back Super Bowls, looking to win a 3rd in a row, despite not having the perfect roster. Get used to it. You're going to have to learn to win with imperfection. If you're waiting for a super team to show up in order to win a Super Bowl, you'll be waiting a long time. That's why good coaching does matter. Having depth does matter. And having some no-name guys developing and becoming players absolutely matters.
One thing I'd say to you coming out there, and I even talked to Marvin a month ago about Cincinnati's really grown something. There's a $200 get-in for a Sunday afternoon game, teams 1 and 3. But there's been a real Burrow effect for the franchise and for the future of that franchise. That one thing I say going in there every year now, it really feels healthy. It feels like that's a thing, and if this year's not the thing, you certainly have the quarterback there to, over the next 6-8 years, it feels like the Bengals are going to be relevant.
He's going to keep them relevant. I mean, you saw the team have a winning record without Joe Burrow after he was lost midway point through the season last year. So that tells you they do have a winning mentality. What they have to do is really get back to playing good defense. You cannot play in the AFC North division or in this league if you think you're going to have a weak defense and just think that a great quarterback is going to lead you to wins every week. Again, quarterbacks don't win by themselves. They need all the help they can get to win games. They need everybody else's help in order to come away with a win. And I think the more your franchise understands that, the more you can be relevant year in and year out.
Joe Burrow, quarterback, holder. I don't know. That was the 1970s that we did that. Solomon Wilcots is here. He is there out at SiriusXM, always doing great work. Solly, thanks for picking up the phone and giving us some time from Cincinnati after the loss. I hope we get together again later in the season. It's a good season so far. We're having fun around here.
No, it's going to be good. You and I both know. Nobody remembers September. I can tell you that. we get to the end of the season. Nobody, and I'm telling you, nobody remembers the month of September.
Well, the Bengals got to figure out some stacking some victories if we're going to get back into the tournament here this year. We're going to be getting into the tournament on Friday. Birthday weekend for me, for Luke, for everybody. We're going to be at Pizza John's in Essex. I will have the scratch-offs in the Maryland Lottery. Raven scratch-offs giveaway. Been a pretty lucky batch. We're doing 26 oysters in 26 days, 26 ways to celebrate 26 years here at WNST. All that brought to you by Curio Wellness and Far and Daughter, as well as our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions, 1-800-CLEAN-WATER. They do all things water and plumbing. I do all things sports and Baltimore positive. I am Nestor. Luke's and Owings Mills all week. We are getting ready for Baltimore versus Washington. Good stuff ahead. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.